So every piece that you play, you think about, okay, what key am I in, right? So you warm up with the technical patterns to go with that key. So for example, our newest piece that we've been doing is the waltz in E minor, right? And that piece is totally built on arpeggios. Okay, so therefore we do E minor arpeggio, right? That. So how do we do E minor arpeggio?
Oh yeah. Ooh. 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 Ooh.
Okay, well,
There it goes. Ooh.
yeah. All right. So you realize afterwards, right, that you did the inversions backwards, right? So the first inversion will start on G, and then the second inversion will start on the B, right? So you missed the G, but I think you figured that out yourself. Yeah.
Oh, there it goes. Ooh.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Ooh.
Cody,
Nice.
what makes you, I think, very special is that you are quite aware, right? You're quite aware that something happens. You're like, oh, this wasn't quite right, right? So you try to do something about it. And I also noticed you were aware that your notes weren't super clean, right?
That's clean.
So you try to do something about it each time you redo it to make it better.
Ooh, nice. Woohoo.
So what was the trick? Well, the trick is to not go so fast, right? If we are not clean, right, we have to redo to make it better, and we must go slower. And I did hear you do that. Okay, so
Yeah.
let's do it even more slower. Remember, we are warming up, right? We're not. This is not the actual piece, right? So speed is not our concern, right? Our concern is extreme accuracy. Okay, so we want to be extremely accurate. Right? You don't want to miss a note. Okay,
Oh,
your turn.
ooh.
Not bad, but I don't think it's 100% clean, right? You remember if you do this, that's not clean, right? You cannot hit the crack.
Nice. Ooh.
Or there was one note that wasn't clean in the left hand coming back, right? It's always the thumb because the thumb has to do a lot of work. It has to tuck under, right? And as you tuck under, it's not easy to be clean.
Wow.
So that's clean. You see, so you have to be aware of the thumb. If you flatten the thumb too much, you will hit the crack, right? So you need to make sure that you are using the tip of the thumb, okay?
Wow.
Not the side of the thumb because you have too much surface area and you're gonna do this, okay? So that was quite clean. Okay, so then we do the first inversion, right? Again, we are not trying to go fast. We just want to be clean, right? Your turn. Well, that's way more clean than earlier. Okay. Then we do the second inversion. Oh, see, I was not clean. I better do it again, right? And I'm gonna do more slowly, more carefully. Right? Go. Was that clean?
No. There it is. There it is.
That's
Whoa.
much better. Okay, much better. Okay, so you get what I mean, right? Because when I asked you, was that clean? You were very, very sure that it wasn't, right? So you are aware, you know, right, that it wasn't. So then you did again and you did better. Okay.
Ooh,
Now,
dang.
these white note arpeggios are not easy, right? I think if there was a black note in the middle, it'd be much easier, right? Like the E major. So all white note actually is not easy, okay? And of course, that's why we practice, okay? Make it
Dang.
more comfortable, right? And easier. Now,
Ooh.
of course, we can very well do the scale, right? To go with E minor. Have
Wow.
I ever
Mhm.
I'm very sure we've done the harmonic minor and the melodic minor, right? But I think for the level 10 exam that
Oh my
you
god.
didn't need to do the natural minor. So I'm
Yeah.
not even sure
Oh
if we
yeah.
ever talked about the word natural minor, right? Do you know what
Wow.
it is?
Yeah.
You
Natural.
gonna show me? What's E natural minor scale?
Oh yeah. Ooh. 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 Wow.
Amazing.
Nice.
So
Ooh.
you do know what it is, right? How about E harmonic minor scale?
Wow. Ooh. Nice.
Was
Wow.
that clean?
There goes. There goes. Yeah. Yes.
It was better, right? But was it clean?
That's clean. Yes.
Not 100%, right? So what do we do? We do
Woohoo.
again, which you did, right? But do you know what you didn't do? You didn't go slower. You need
Wow.
to go slower, right? And the D sharp, right? Of course, is the raised seventh note, right? Your
Ah,
turn.
nice. Woohoo.
That is clean.
Ooh.
Right? That's what we want. Okay, we always want to be clean. Okay, and if we are not, for some reason, we need to try to make it better, right? But you need to go slower first.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah,
which you
yeah.
did. So now it's clean. Okay, now do E melodic minor.
My lord, tag. Woohoo. Woohoo.
Thank you. That is very clean.
Wow.
Okay,
Woohoo.
now let's
Thank
keep doing this arpeggio thing, right? But focusing on the key of E.
wow.
So in this piece, we also use a lot of dominant seventh chords. Okay. So
Woohoo.
how do we play a dominant seventh arpeggio of E minor?
Wow. Ooh, yeah. 2 minutes 7.
I don't think we've done it in this key, but we did it before when you did the exam. But it was a different key, right? The concept of dominant seventh, do you remember what it involves?
Wow.
Right.
Nice. Ooh.
All right. Let's talk
Wow.
about it. So you do remember that dominant seventh involves four notes because you
Wow.
play four notes, right? But did you hear it? It didn't quite sound right, right? What did you play? That's called a minor seventh, right? That particular quality is called minor seventh because you have a minor chord and then you have a seventh note. So that's not dominant seventh,
That
right?
was nice, huh?
Dominant seventh is very, very happy.
Very happy, huh?
Yes, it's what I call rich and yummy chord.
Yeah.
Well, how do you make it?
Make it, huh?
Well, you're
Wow.
very smart, so I'm going to give you the dominant seventh of a different key to remind you. Okay, and then I want to see if you can find the dominant seventh for this key. So, if I was to do the dominant seventh of C,
That
okay, so
was,
C being the tonic. Now, the thing about dominant sevenths is that it doesn't matter if I say C major or C minor, the
wow.
dominant seventh will be the same.
That,
Okay,
yeah.
so what we do is we don't play C. Notice what I play instead. That will
Wow.
be the dominant seventh of C. Now listen to the sound. See what I mean? It's very happy, right? It's more happy than major. Major is three note. Dominant seventh is four note, making it more rich, right? See? More rich and more yummy, right? So this is just like your plain cake. This is like a cake with chocolate icing on it.
Wow.
So see? Rich and yummy, right? So using that as an example, can you now show me what the dominant seventh of E is?
Yes, huh? Ooh, yeah. Ooh. Yes, huh? Ooh. 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 What? Ooh.
Good
Wow.
job. I knew you could do it, right?
Ooh. I know you
That's
can
why I
do
put
this.
you on the spot. I knew you could do it, right? So you used what I played, right, in C major, thinking about the relationship between what my starting note was, right, and what other notes I played. You used that relationship that you heard and you applied it to this key. And that is exactly what we do, right? We think logically, right? And we apply concepts. And we use what we learned, right? And we apply it to whatever other new things we do. So you got it, right? Now it was not easy to be clean, of course, right? So we were not 100% clean. So what do? We try again. Oh, I missed one note. You see, it's hard for me too, right? I have to keep up with my own practice, which is not all that easy because I hardly had time, right? But you try, right? Go.
Oh, there goes. There it is.
Exactly, right? So that was very clean, right? So then we do all the inversions to go with that. And like I said, the goal is not speed right now, right? Eventually, of course, if you are so clean all the time and you just want to go fast, go for it, right? But right now, what we're trying to do is getting used to all the different distances right between any two fingers. So sometimes a particular set of two fingers need to open a little more than normal, right? So we want to practice that gap, right? Or that interval, and then practice every possible right gap between them. Okay, go.
Ooh. There it goes. There it goes. There it is.
100%, right? But close. Try again. Going down was so hard, wasn't it? So what do? We go even more slower, right? If I couldn't be 100% clean, then that means I need more time, right? I need more time to find that note. So I go slower. That was better, right? That was better. We're gonna move on, right? To the next inversion. Now, of course, in the lesson, it doesn't if we make everything 100% flawless, that would just take so long, right? So sometimes I would say, okay, it's good enough, right? But in your own practice, you can keep practicing so they become very comfortable. There was a little moment of discomfort on the top, right? I think you almost used the wrong finger and then you realized it, so then you switched it to whatever the finger should be, right? But there was a little moment of hesitation. However, I'm aware that you are aware, so I'm gonna, okay? So the next inversion.
Wow.
That's not good enough for sure, right?
There goes. There goes. Yeah. There goes.
Amazing.
Woo, nice.
Last one. Isn't that hard, right? Dominant seventh arpeggios are not easy because some notes are next door and some notes you have to turn. Let me see if there's a better fingering for that. Actually, I think it is, right? So I think using 5, 4, 3 is not easy, right? Because the distance between 4, the B natural and the D sharp, using 4 and 3 is not comfortable. So in the left hand, I did 2 and 1, right? And then I turned to 4 on the D sharp. I think that's a better fingering, right? Try it. Like that better?
Wow.
Yeah, actually, I think you did right hand also better fingering than what I did earlier. So I will try yours. So you did 4 on the A and thumb on B. Yeah, actually, that is the best fingering of them all. Right? So left hand is 2, 1, and right hand is 2, 1 as well. In the beginning, right? 2, 1, and then left hand turn to 4. Yeah, that's the best fingering, right? Try it again. Amazing, right? Amazing. Now, isn't that an unusual fingering? Because we're starting with Y note, right? Our instinct is to do 1, 2, 3, 4, and our instinct is to do 5, 4, 3, 2. But that was extremely awkward, right? So no wonder at first you were not clean because the fingering wasn't the best possible.
Wow.
Again, that brings us to the concept of how important fingering is.
Wow. Dang.
It's not an absolute thing, right? There are possible alternatives, right? But what we want to do is find whatever fingering is the most efficient and most comfortable. Okay?
Wow.
And sometimes it may not be the standard choices, right? Because the standard choice for Y note arpeggio is 1, right, on the thumb, and pinky on the left hand. But in this case, we both discovered that didn't work, right? Okay? So when you are playing something, right, if you repeatedly keep making a mistake on a particular passage, then the first thing you have to ask yourself is, okay,
Nice.
do I need to change my fingering, right? Because if I have used the same fingering and I just keep messing up, then that probably means the fingering wasn't a good one, right? You have to think of an alternative. Okay. All right. We just have one more pattern to do. Now these are building blocks, right? These patterns are so standard. We call them building blocks of all compositions, right? It's very useful to go over them. And the more you do, of course, the easier then they become. And you could easily play them, right? In any key, right? Before you start playing the piece, okay? So then another one that is often associated with these arpeggios is called the diminished seventh arpeggio.
Diminished seven. Wow.
For that word, right? You did it before the exam, but you didn't do this particular key, right? In the level 10, E was not one of the keys you had to do. So
Nice.
see what you remember, right? And I'll remind you if you don't.
Oh my
What is the diminished seventh starting on the leading tone of E minor?
Yeah.
That's a fancy word, right? How do we play a diminished seventh arpeggio starting on the leading tone of E minor?
Wow.
A whole bunch of fancy words right there, right?
That starts with it. That's right.
Now, what do you think? Remember the word leading tone? I'll remind you. Leading tone means the seventh note of the scale.
Seventh note.
In this case, the seventh note is D sharp, right? So we start on the leading tone because the seventh chord of a key is always a diminished chord. Yeah, like if you're in E major, the seventh chord is, and if you're in E minor, it is also, right? So it's always a diminished chord. So therefore, diminished seventh chords are typically built on the seventh note, which is the leading tone. But we need to do diminished seventh arpeggio. That means we have 4 notes to play.
Wow.
Right? So what are the other notes? I mean, what is the other note? It will be what? The C natural, right? Do you hear it?
Hey.
That's the diminished seventh arpeggio.
Wow. Nice. Woohoo.
It's much easier, isn't it, than dominant seventh? I love diminished seventh. Dominant seventh is hard. Diminished seventh is somewhat easier because, did you notice? The distance is always the same. Right? So it's easier to predict, right? How far to open our fingers. Because every 2 note is a minor third, right? So it's much easier, right? And comfortable.
Wow.
Okay? Alright, do all the inversions, please.
Oh yeah. Ooh. Nice. Ooh.
Okay, and then amazing, right? You see how what I mean by this one being much easier, right? It just naturally fits under the fingers much easier, right? So you were perfect, you were clean the
Dang.
first time, pretty much, right? So what we want to do is we want to make all the patterns feel like this, right? So the dominant seventh did not feel quite as comfortable, right? Some of them we had to redo quite a few times. They're not as comfortable because they are harder, right? But when we practice, our goal is to make everything, right, that we do feel comfortable, right? Just like how you play the diminished seventh arpeggio. It felt very comfortable, right? So that's our goal, is to make everything feel that way, right? Everything we do, we want to feel comfortable. We don't want to have any feeling of anxiety over any note.
Wow.
But that is not easy, right? That takes hours and hours of work, okay?
Wow.
Get that feeling, right? To get that feeling of complete comfortable um, comfort, right, with everything we do. Okay, so now we can play our piece, right?
Yeah. Woo-hoo.
Play the waltz in E minor.
E minor. Yeah. Woo-hoo. That's it. Woo-hoo.
Good job. Good job.
Woo-hoo.
That's the best you have done, right?
Woo-hoo.
Compared to last week and the week before, right? It was the most cleanest so far. There were hardly any miss notes.
Woo-hoo.
Okay. So definitely in terms of accuracy, right? And just very clean sound, we have gotten better. Okay. Now, did you hear the opening and the end, right? It was
Oh
just
my
like big E minor arpeggio, right? Which we are getting better at, right? But I still do not feel was 100% clean. Can
Wow.
you show me this arpeggio slowly? Right? So all right hand, right? And then the left hand only comes at the very end, right? So the left hand had one note, and then that's it. No more left hand until the final note, right? So that final note, I play with one right hand and one left hand. That's how I do it, right? Yep. Now you could just play the octave with the left hand, of course, right? So you could do, right? I don't think it's easier for me because I don't like the octave with my left hand, right? But it's up to you, right? As long as you are absolutely clean. Okay? Right hand. That's clean, okay? And then the opening as well, right? We gotta make the opening super clean too. You were so much better than it used to be, right? So we just want to be sorry, right? Very sure, right? That's absolutely flawless, right? Your turn. It was clean. Thank you. Okay. All right. And then, right, I want to talk a little bit about pedaling. I don't think we talked too much about pedaling before, right? Yet. So today we'll talk about it. So, of course, we have a couple basic patterns, right, in terms of pedal. The opening is called legato pedal.
Legato pedal.
Because you are super legato, right? Right? So this is a staccato note, but then, right? So, right. In other words, you don't change the pedal until you play something new. You do not change it, right? Until you play something new. Right? So you are continuing, right, the sound until it's time to change, right? So that's called the legato pedal, which is the most common pedal, right? So the default is legato pedaling, right? Default meaning that's what we do anyways, right? All the time. And then sometimes, of course, we don't do that, right? Sometimes our pedaling will be more broken up. For example, right here. See? Right? It's not legato. Do you see? So I do 1, 2, 3. Right? On the third beat, I go 1, 2, right? 1, 2, 3. Right? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So my left hand is doing this. Do you hear it? And that's important because that gives the feeling of the waltz. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Right? So on the third beat, we have a lilt, right? Right? Gotta practice this group, right? Do you see the lilt? Now here, the right hand will be legato, but the left hand and the pedal is off, right? On the third beat. And then that's legato over there, right? Legato until that. So the transition was legato, and here's the lilt. So there's the lilt again. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1. Right? Okay. So show me this more lilting type of pedaling. Go. Thank you so much. You understand me, right? So knowing when to change the pedal, right, is important, right? So when do we do the more legato pedal and when do we do more of the lilting pedal, right? That's your challenge, okay? And then the next thing I notice, of course, is how we go from one section to another. Okay? Sometimes, right, there is a rest, okay? And he could easily have written like a half note, right? But he doesn't, right? He writes a quarter note and he writes a quarter rest. So when that happens, we must make sure the music is silent, okay? Before we move on. As tempting as it is to continue, right? It's so tempting to go and then continuing, right, to play that. See, it's very tempting and it also sounds really, really beautiful, but it is not what Chopin wrote, right? He says off, right? He wants a bit of silence so that we can, start something fresh. So, nothing. And of course, this is legato pedaling here, right? He even says dolce and legato. So, we stay there until we play something new. We stay there until we play something new. We stay until we play something new. Stay until we play something new, right? But I was talking about the transition. Did you hear there was a beat of silence, right? Listen. Do you hear? Right? Your turn. Good, right? So now this one doesn't have any silence, right? It just goes right into the next section, right? So, and also you suddenly just need to be loud, right? So, right? It's like a surprise almost, right? This was so sad, right? Or back to the lilt. Back to the lilt, right? Now, play all the notes loud, right? Every note can be loud here, okay?
Wow.
It's not bad, right? Now, how clean can we play that? Right? Do the right hand for me. Amazing. That is very clean. Okay. So then continue.
Wow.
You go back to the lilt, right? Remember to do the lilt, right? So that final note is so short and so soft. Right? That's a lilt. 1, 2, 3. You can hardly hear the third beat. Exactly. So then we'll repeat, right? Now, because you're repeating, there's no break, right? The sound just continues. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Right? Now try not to slow down here because otherwise the piece is too compartmentalized, right? So this repeat, we do not do any slowdown. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, go. Right? You just want to get on with the repeat, right? Good job. Then this one has one beat of rest again, right? So you see, some transitions are seamless, so no break in the sound. Some transitions have silence, right? So this one, silence. And that one can be a little longer than the others. Why? Because you're even changing key signature, right? He went from E minor to E major, right? So we had one sharp, now we have 4 sharps, right? So that one can be a bigger, right? Rest. And we are back to the super legato pedaling here. Okay? Let's do the transition. Rest. Okay, you show me.
Hey.
I'm gonna guess. Do you think this transition has a rest or no rest?
Yeah.
It does, exactly, right? So now again, because we're going into something so different, right? It was so sweet, right? It was like how sweet as can be, right? Right? Rest, and then a very, very stormy, right? So we need that silence to kind of separate them, right? Rest. And then do we have silence? Yes, we do, right? Silence. Back to the sweetness, right? Make sure we do that silence exactly as he intended, okay? Your turn.
Woohoo.
Silence again. Silence. Silence. So big silence, right? So after diminished chord, silence, right? Now sometimes we don't want to lose time. Right away. That's such a hard ending, isn't it? Right? So try to play it a little more on time first. Don't get too fast. Right? Let's be very right. So when you change pattern, don't lose. So, right? Your last couple notes were not clean. It's C, so watch out. So where I did. Oh, it's not exercise because you're a little bit fast. Right? Right? Very exact. Right? Again. Like that. Now you are super good with all these final chords, right? We just gotta make the note very clean. It was better. So you are aware that we don't take too much time, right? Go, right? After the final one, you the excitement if you wait. So here, right, there is no rest between the pattern. So we have this pattern. We go right into the next pattern. Right? There is no rest. Now let's go from here. I think you were changing pedal too much. So once you have done this, you don't need to change. Right? You don't need to change the pedal until when you do a different chord, of course you will change. Right? Remember earlier I said that I feel you are aware, right? I do feel you are aware, right? Did you notice these two notes were not G, B and G, right? So you need to turn further, right? It's so low, right? It's very uncomfortable for the right hand to get that low. That's why you missed it, right? Instead of B and G, you play C and A. Okay? Watch out, right? So same with this transition, right? After you do this, right? You just want to get to the A sharp right away, right? Which is not easy, right? So what we do is right? We do slow, right? Until we are flawless, right? And clean. Again. So now let's connect this whole entire section, right? So starting from that section.
Nice.
You got better and better and better, right? So that last couple notes again, right? I always try to listen for those to see if they are super clean. Now we want to make sure we don't lose too much time doing these things, right? But they are not easy, right? So let's play the left hand. Right? You almost want to go right away to play that chord. Since you have to start early, right? 1, 2, 3, right? On the third beat, you want to make sure the E is on the third beat. So that means you need to start these people earlier, right? Right, so that was on time, right? But then the problem is you have to do the next one very quickly afterwards. You have to do 2 in a row very quick, right? Can you show me that?
Okay.
That's hard, right? So do it again. Exactly. You gotta be clean, right? Right. So now I don't know what finger you did. I did 5, 2, 1, 2. Right? Because doing 3 here is almost impossible. You're gonna miss it, right? If you do 5 and 3, you need to open your fingers so big that your chance of success is quite slim. So 5, 2, 1, right? 5, 2, 1, and cross over, right? So practice that transition. Okay, I appreciate you trying my fingering, right? I saw you trying to do the 5, 2, 1, and then you turn over, right? But you missed it. So then you decided you're gonna go back to your own fingering, right? Now perhaps your fingers are more stretched out, right? Because you're used to it, doing it, and your hands are obviously bigger than my hand. So maybe it is possible for you to do this. 5, 3, 2, 1, right? I could never do that accurately fast. But maybe because you practiced it like that, it does work for you, right? I'm simply offering an alternative. But whatever you do, right, you have to not lose time. Your turn. Good. Yeah. Okay, you did it, right? And then, right? So practice the scale. So slow motion. In other words, the D sharp go together, right? And I have to play the other 3 notes earlier, right? So the D sharp can land together. Good. And then don't lose time here, right? Right, so gotta find the A sharp right away. Okay? Oh, you missed the B and G. Did you hear it? Right? Good job, right? So we are fine tuning it for sure, right? So each time we play it, it's more precise, right? More fine tuned. Okay, good. Well, so if we apply the same concept, right? We can do the exactly the same exercise for all the pieces you have done, right? So for example, what's another one we've done?
Oh my gosh. We done.
Remember another waltz that we had played?
That was A minor.
So,
Ooh, Ooh, that's it. Ooh. Ooh. Wow.
I love the ending.
Ooh.
So sensitive, right? Well done. And you took your time, right?
Ooh, that's perfect.
Quietest A minor chord, right? In the end. So that was gorgeous.
Ooh,
Okay. Now a couple notes you kind of hesitated, right? Right? You're like, is it D natural or is it D sharp? Right? It's okay, right? That's why I keep reviewing them with you, right? Because you learn so quickly, right? But we don't want to forget the things we learned, right? So we want to keep being able to play these pretty standard pieces. So anyway,
wow.
we'll do more work next time. But your newest piece that I want you to do a listening assignment for, right, is another waltz in B minor this time.
E minor?
So
Wow.
you've done waltz in A minor, you've done waltz in E minor. This one is waltz in B minor,
E
right? It's
minor.
the one that follows the one you just did, right? So the one you just did was well, it doesn't follow, I shouldn't say, right? But when I mean follow, I mean in terms of kind of difficulty, right? So the A minor, the one you just did, right? People usually do that as their first Chopin piece or the first Chopin waltz they ever learn, right? I mean, it's beautiful, but it wasn't terribly difficult, right? So the one that people do after that is the one in B minor. I'm trying to find the number because all these pieces have catalog numbers. Number two.
Number two, huh?
Yep. So Opus 69. Am I right? hope I am, right? Number two. So, yep,
Wow.
right. The opening goes like, right? I don't think you've ever played it, right? Right? I haven't done it in a long time myself, but it's a good piece to learn, right? Right? So it goes like that, okay? So let's both, for me, I'll review it, right? For you, and then for you, do a listening assignment so you can hear the outline of the piece, and
Wow.
then we'll work on it next week,
Woo,
okay?
woo,
All
man.
right, so open 69 number two, okay? B minor.
Woohoo.
Bye.
Bye
Appreciate
bye.
time.
Thank you.
Welcome. Bye.
Bye bye.